I can't find his name. Let's see, Who's Authors Club, UAP Associates, Terms of Agreement. Let me see.
All right.
I don't know, Richard. I'm sorry. We'll have to discuss this Friday night because I can't find any of their names. So let's go back to Yamamoto and Masani, Masaru Emoto. And Richard, tell us why people don't recognize all these places that certify metaphysics. Can you educate us?
Well, yes. I mean, metaphysics is a pseudoscience. However, there are now numerous universities, including Oxford, Harvard, Purdue, let's see, and I could probably search and find at least a dozen more now, actually offering degrees on the bachelor's and master's level in actual metaphysics. So that just goes to show you that nowadays things have drastically changed because people are recognizing that the teachings from 50, 60, 100 years ago have actually come into play in our 3D reality. So there's just two key points that I want to mention about the science of water and vibration. And these are that one drastically affects the other. The original studies done by Mr. Emoto demonstrated that when he played music or he played sounds in a direct association and not a very far distance from a small body of water, say being held in a container, that the water was drastically affected, that some tones would create waves, some tones would create swirls in the water, etc., etc. And the reason that this is so very important is because you have to consider human beings are made up of at least 70% water. So we are water vessels walking around on two legs. So therefore, if we ourselves are comprised of water, then in turn, vibrations, frequencies, and so forth are going to affect us directly and do affect us even in our everyday environment, whether it be the sounds of cars or the backfires or jets going overhead or trains coming by or the ground shaking or, loud music blaring at us from cars that we had no intention of listening to. Just all kinds of different things. We're constantly exposed to sounds of all kinds. We hear sounds in nature. We hear birds. We hear, chipmunks. We hear all kinds of various animals. And then, of course, even when you go into restaurants, again, you're exposed to the sounds within the restaurant. And then, of course, as in given individuals, when we recognize various words in our vocabulary that in turn affect our mood, it's because the way the word is being pronounced and the energy that the word is coming forth with from that given person's vocal cords to your hearing system. So vibrations and frequencies have been around us ever since mankind has been invented. The science of metaphysics goes all the way back to Greek philosophers, and so you're talking at least a good 1,200-1,500 years ago. And yes, it's been considered a pseudoscience, but hey.
All right,
yes?
we'll use Masaru Emoto in Japan as one of our honorary leaders of Wednesday's Metaphysics with Marci and Richard and me for water vibrations and being carbon-based units with, 85 or 90% water for integrative medicine, a holistic approach to health. So remember the words integrative medicine, Marci and Richard, because that's sort of where we fall under government.
I understand that.
Okay,
also,
and then let me really quick mention heal your mind, body, and spirit. And then civilian intelligence for Richard on the other nights is Norio Hayakawa. So I apologize, Norio. He's helping me with UAP versus the old nuts and bolts UFO people with Center for UFO Studies with J. Allen Hynek in the Blue Book, which Marci is going to study as well. So now we've got those two. Norio Hayakawa for Richard. That might be the first time Richard has heard his name in my group. So Norio is a degreed teacher. Actually, he teaches how to speak languages in today's reality. Norio, Hayakawa, and he used to sponsor events. He had one in Las Vegas for UFO people, but he now has civilians intelligence. Okay, so and he's in our UAP as a director with me. So now back to you, Marci. I just wanted to clear all that up for everybody.
No, I understand. Also, I have on my YouTube, under Marci Kosich or Cosmic Cosmos, I have a lot of tones I've done with water, where I've been doing, where you all of a sudden the wind will start changing. It'll start, and even Richard has picked up some of my tones when I've videotaped them. The energies, the doorways, all of a sudden the water will start coming. So I live near about an hour and a half away from Lake Tahoe, and I'm like a couple minutes away from the Truckee River, which is the water that comes down from Tahoe. So I've gone there for the last 10 years, and I've done my tones. And so you'll see that the different experiments or energies that I've done on tones and water and how it reflects onto that.
Thank you for joining me in the chat room, everybody. Skater, Starlight Angel, thank you so much. And I will start trying to keep this open. Area code 708, you're live and on the air with Richard Marci. How can we help you from Chicago? Go ahead. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Are you just listening? Okay.
Yeah,
Chicago, can you hear us? Okay. Maybe they're just listening. All right. I'm going to put you back on hold. All right. Back to you, Marci. Integrative medicine, body, mind, spirit. Yes, we still have events. While I'm sharing, yes, you can enjoy the conversation. And, of course, you can join us. People are in the talk room wanting to know if they can join in the conversation. Well, today, folks, we'll maybe open the chat room up, but just type to me right now. And in the future, I'm going to get better at doing this on YouTube and chat rooms, but let's just do radio today. So back to Marci and Richard, and you guys, we got a whole 22 minutes left. So there's people listening, and they want to be a part of this. So you two are handling integrative medicine and the Japanese instruction, water neuroscience today, and metaphysics with Marci, who does tones. Now, she did one on me, and it worked, folks, just her voice. And I know you may think I am biased, but I'm not. I'm giving a true testimony that I have never met this woman in person. She just offered to suggest that I would like to do this for you, and I gave her permission. We, as metaphysicians, never do anything without permission, okay? That's just a universal law among shaman metaphysicians. We have to have permission. And she did one, and it broke. For a minute, I didn't think anything about it, and then all of a sudden I couldn't breathe, and my dog got on me, and I was like, move, Coco. I was choking. So she helped clean out some phlegm, and I actually started feeling lighter. And then today I feel a lot better, and that's my testimony. And she did not ask me for that, by the way, folks. She didn't say, let me come on the show and give you a testimony. So back to you, Richard, if you want to give her a testimony. But, folks, this stuff is real, but people just don't talk about it because there's people out there that keep people from doing cutting-edge integrative, and we can explain all the legal hassles of that on a later show. But I'm going to mute now, Richard. Go back. Thank you for listening, everybody. I'm running the board and phone calls and the chat room, and I've never been so busy. Okay, you guys, good show.
All right. So where do we branch off from here? Well, of course, alternative medicine includes, or integrative medicine. They basically both use the same terminology. One, of course, saying alternative, meaning another means other than the regular accepted medicines, such as drugs and, various forms of medical surgeries and all that, and medical treatments per se, that, of course, we deeply respect and enjoy the assistance of all of our doctors out there. But at the same time, an alternative means that, you could use herbs, you could use various concoctions and tinctures and all kinds of this stuff. And basically, this is medicine that's been handed down by midwives and of course witches and other shamans and what you'd call persons that were highly respected in their tribal cultures. And yet, of course, nowadays, that ancient wisdom is actually being heavily sought after. Of course, then you get into the psychedelic field, and of course, there are experiential psychic and paranormal occurrences when under the influence of perfectly natural substances, such as LSD. I should note here that LSD is actually chemically created in the brain in a very minute amount, so therefore only a very minute amount needs to be ingested. And of course, one should always be in the presence of friends when tripping, as we used to call it back in the 70s and 80s. But anyway, so then we get down into other forms of healing, which in addition to, the tones and how they affect not only water, but how it totally affect an entire person's state of being. I personally had the pleasure and the honor of working with Marci for about the last 4 or 5 years, and she has shared tones with me on numerous occasions, and they are channeled at times, and then at other times it's like, I guess you would have to say that her higher self produces them, which of course when you're talking a person's higher self, you're talking about the person's spirit, or their core essence or intelligence of God that they resonate with, as we all resonate since we all come from the one source. But anyway, so as a personal testimony, I myself have had all kinds of clearings. I've had release of back pains and shoulder pains and neck pains and all kinds of different frequency changes. And then, of course, in turn, those in instances where there were actually beings such as ascended masters, which you have to, and an ascended master is someone oftentimes who has lived many lives here on earth. A very fine example of one would be Saint Germain. Okay, Saint Germain was here as an abbot, and he was also declared a saint over time. Why? Because he could manifest transformation in the physical through the use of energy work. And in turn, he now is an ascended master and in control of the violet flame. Well, the violet flame is the flame of transformation and transmutation. And again, this is something that you as a conscious individual may embrace and give permission to Saint Germain to help you transform and transmute to become your core essence or your highest possible being. Okay? And again, I myself personally, as a Reiki Grandmaster, I do in fact use energy work, and I am capable of projecting energy long distances and calling forth energy into a person's life at a given moment, and sometimes it's instantaneous with the assistance of archangels and the Holy Spirit and other guides and ascended masters and so on and so forth. And other times it's what you would call perfected to the right time at the right moment, when it's most ideal for that actual person to be relaxed and in a receptive state so that they may more commonly receive that healing instrument or that healing modality.
Richard, also,
yes.
Like back to the water, through the channel they were saying the best time, because I'm constantly doing rebirthing where you turn the lights off and you go on the right side of the brain, but they were saying the best contact is when you're in water, or if you're stressed out, you run your hands under warm water. So that will help relieve that anxiety or that energy that's in people. So again, it's back to, that vibration.
Yes, and again, a fine example of that also, Marci, is just sitting at the seashore and listening to the waves come crashing in on the sand, because you will find after a very short period of time that it actually relaxes you in total, and you become in harmony with the sounds around you. Yes. Yeah,
the negative ions in the ocean clear out people's aura, or they're drawn to water, or the water increases live energy compared to like pools, which is more dead energy. And so I've been told many times where you just go put your feet in the water, or you let the water talk to you, or you clear it. We got bombarded by so many different things, and we've lost that energy of earthing, which is where we put our feet on the ground. People wear high heels. We've lost that frequency of the 442 hertz of the Earth
yes.
that are going on.